A week ago, Coffee Stain Studios broke down one of their new features for Update 8, and though this is the first tidbit of information about Update 8, I've been surprised by the reactions in the comments to the news that Unreal Engine 5 will be coming. And what I thought was a hugely positive and a no-brainer actually left me wondering, is Unreal Engine 5 actually a good change for Satisfactory? And though I have a very strong reason as to why I think you'll agree that this is a great change for us, which I'll cover at the end of the video, I do also want to cover all of the potential downsides to this so that you can make up your own mind. And there are quite a lot of points to consider. By the way, if you are interested in knowing the summary of what's coming with Update 8 and the Unreal Engine 5 changes, do check out my video. I'll put a link above right now and also at the end of the video to that. Now, looking over the comments, and there were quite a lot of them, I thought we'd break down the biggest concerns first and then balance them against the positives, and I'll post also a poll in my community tab to see what you guys think about the update overall. So, what's the concern? Well, the biggest concern is that Unreal Engine 5 won't run on lower spec machines. And this is a very good point. It's alright for the likes of me who have been able to invest a considerable amount of money into their builds, either out of necessity for work, like in my case, or because you're able to splurge a little bit. But not everyone's in the same boat. Some people are using laptops or decade-old parts to run their PCs and not in a position to upgrade, and this may well affect them, especially with the new minimum specs. And this is paired with several other concerns, that the update to Unreal Engine 5.1.1 will not be optional. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, but if this is the case, then there's the potential for part of the player base who originally purchased the game to find that they're unable to play the game anymore. And to be honest, if that was me, yeah, I would probably be a little bit angry about this change. Though it is important that Jace raised the point that the minimum specs had changed because they were out of date, supporting a GPU whose drivers weren't even supported by the devs anymore. And this doesn't necessarily mean that it won't be able to run the game with the change to Unreal Engine 5. Don't take my word for it, but from my understanding, a lot of the additions with the upgrade are opt-in, such as Lumen, which may mean providing that you don't change your GPU settings, that you may be fine on an older system, even if it isn't strictly supported by the devs. This opt-in approach would mean that those who are concerned about it being non-optional should also have their concerns reduced also. But it's all well and good me talking about this. Really, we need to hear from the devs about this, and I hope that the community managers will address these concerns in a future video or live stream. But you can expect me to cover the information regardless, so do subscribe if you haven't already. There were also some other concerns about Unreal Engine 5 as well, such as the game having more bugs or needing more patches, and potentially being unstable. The latter was already addressed by Jace, who said that it should be relatively stable with the exception of dedicated servers and vehicles. Dedicated servers may be broken for some time, but I expect them to devote a lot of attention, love and care to them once they're happy with the stability of UE5 on single player. Now, I feel that though we may need to see a fair few patches due to new bugs that upgrading to UE5 will bring, that some bugs that were engine bound and other prominent bugs that we've had that have been difficult to squish will now be fixable. And by upgrading now, this will speed up development in the long term, as upgrading to UE5 at a later date would prolong the inevitable and would require them checking over previous work. So I would rather they do it now than later. Then we have Jace's note on how the game may not be as optimized on high-end PCs compared to the current iteration of the game. This also leads to lower spec PC players wondering how they would be affected, and though Jace mentioned that depending on what bells and whistles you use from UE5, that you'll probably see at least quality improvements at the same performance as you're currently getting. And I do want to stress that though initially we may have a less optimized game, that this is a new upgrade which should allow for some great optimization in-game if the features such as Nanite or the world partition system can be developed effectively by the team. Remember that this has been in development for what, half a year, 4 months, compared to the previous engine that has been worked on for 3 years by a full team. Give it time and I'm sure that everyone will be rewarded with an optimized game. Another concern is the breaking of mods and the potential that modders may not fix their mods. This is unfortunately out of control of the devs and why they don't officially support modding currently. And though this isn't UE5 bound, it may be more difficult this time for modders to upgrade, so you can expect a longer downtime than usual. But with all updates, this is bound to happen. It's nothing new for anyone who's been with us from the beginning. And finally, something I saw a few times was the concern that UE5 is the only thing coming to Update 8. People want more, and though at the time of recording we only have the UE5 information handed to us, I believe it was mentioned prior that they have a few teasers planned, which suggests that there is more on the way. Regardless of this, the upgrade should help the team develop the game quicker, which would be a net gain for us all, even if we don't receive anything new gameplay related for this update. But I do remain quietly optimistic, as I always do. So, having talked through all of the negatives that I could think of that you guys have mentioned in comments, why might this be a fantastic change for us all? Well, I think there are a couple of positives which we've already countered versus a few of the cons that we had before. But the biggest pro to me, and one that was brought up by Resneveva Zaleski, I probably butchered your name, I do apologize, is that launching a game with an outdated engine isn't great for longevity. Really, you want a game to be released with the most up-to-date software. And this is for a couple of reasons. It'll, in theory, make it easier for the devs to keep patching the game after launch and potentially allow for further game development, such as DLCs, even if the previous engine isn't supported much further down the line. And I think we'd all like to see further development after 1.0 if it's on the cards. So to me, this is a really good thing to have. There's also the potential for further updates to the engine, which may be very beneficial. Now, this is a huge stretch, but just go with me down the rabbit hole for a moment. A lot of us would love to have a map editor after 1.0. The idea of working on our own maps to share with the community would give the game a lot of playability, even if we don't have procedural generation. But with UE 5.2, there is procedural content generation framework in the works, which helps developers create open worlds based on certain parameters. And that might be something that the team could potentially make use of if a map editor is on the table for after 1.0. That being said, I don't want to take anything away from Hannah and the incredible team who have created such a beautiful handcrafted world. They really have done a fantastic job, but it is something that I think could be potentially very beneficial to, if not the team, potentially us, if they're considering a map editor. So, with all my thoughts on the table, so to speak, I'm still really optimistic and hopeful that Unreal Engine 5 won't hardware lock players out of the game. But what do you think? Let me know below and make sure to check out my poll in the community tab. Let's see what you guys think and whether JSnut or Elida will talk about the prominent concerns that we have and have raised in stream or in a video soon. But guys, thank you so much for watching, and as always, special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters, most notably our Solarclipse patrons, James Irwin, Firefless and Treble, as well as our Lunas, the Calamity, Ben, Star, Shoku the Emin Wolf, and that dude AW, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is the City Rat. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.